How was Kevin originally described to you?
Kevin was originally described to me as it was pretty simple. It was just like he's transgender, he is a college student, he is strong in his beliefs, and he doesn't like drama. Like it was like two sentences, you know? So I was like, great, this is the bare bones of a cool character, and now I get to flavor it from here, you know?
What did you add then of yourself to Kevin, or maybe something you felt not just of you, but that you wanted to specifically see in him?
Yes, that is a perfect segue because the character description was so like broad, you know, it wasn't anything like he has to be this, just kind of like personality traits. I got to bring in everything else. Like every other flavor was completely me. So I just got to add in the blanks, and I love doing that. I love bringing myself into characters. I know some actors are very much like kind of want to like lead themselves. I just want to like basically be myself all the time. So it's very exciting. I got to bring in so much of, you know, I just kind of pictured what I would do in this scenario, because I'm obviously not in college or anything, but I was once, and so I was able to be that. And there were so many fun things that we were able to create with Kevin, like together. There they were so collaborative with what I brought to him, and they really liked what I brought to him. Clearly enough to book me the part. But then once I got on set, they like let me, you know, it was like my own necklaces that we were wearing, and my style was very much something that we worked on together. I literally paint my three fingers all the time, and they kept that like and changed it the color to match my outfit every, you know, day of the world. And it was just like so fun. I was like, I like Kevin isn't me, but like, oh, Kevin and I share so much. And it was just, I really felt like really appreciated and seen, and them just being like, create this with us. Like, you know, you're the you're the expert on this vessel, and you are also like the trans expert. We don't want to like tell you who this is, so like bring him in and we'll all create this together. And that was the feel of it. That was very, oh, I love it.
Very satisfying. It must have
Satisfying.
been very.
Yes.
Was there something about Kevin or about the series itself that really drew you to this part?
Well, oh, many things. First of all, just being a blatantly like trans character. Obviously, there's like a degree to if I'm playing a character, he is trans kind of thing, I guess. But to have an explicitly like this is a trans character and that's representation that we want to show is something I, of course, just jumped onto, because it's, as we all know, accurate representation and authentic and responsible representation is so important. And in this time when trans characters are just finally starting to be written and shown in media, it's like we have this responsibility, like to be seen and to make sure that you get those trans people into the audition room. So of course I'm just like, oh, trans, make sure it's me or one of my boys, you know. But then, yeah, what else drew me to him was just, I mean, there was, what was I just thinking about when you asked me that? Especially this character being on Charmed. Like Charmed is such a long-standing
Iconic
franchise,
series.
very iconic series. The original Charmed was huge. There's rarely a person that I tell that didn't watch the original series, you know. And even though that was written in the 90s, which was not that long ago, relatively, um, in the 90s, there no one was discussing trans anything. Even 5 years ago when I first got here, it was barely being like whispered, you know. Let alone in the 90s, they were like, that doesn't exist. And so it's extra exciting to be kind of like tacked on to this series in this reboot, because there are so many trans people who loved and watched that show and now get to see a bit of themselves through me in this. I mean, it's so much bigger than just like a new age show where we're finally talking about all the types of people that exist, but to be tacked onto a show that people knew so well a couple decades ago, and like now Charmed has a trans character in it. It's just like it's empowering and it's beautiful. It's not like rewriting history as much as it's like adding to it, and that just feels like really beautiful to be a part of. So of course I was just like gimme, gimme, gimme.
That's a great segue to my next question because this is the first transgender role we're seeing on Charmed. What does this move for authentic representation really mean to you?
Well, it is such my goal as an actor to be the representation that I never saw. I, of course, love acting. It's my passion, it's my life, it's everything. But there's also just this activist element of like, I though don't really watch much television because I didn't really ever see myself growing up. Like that wasn't part. So like, let me change that for the kids who are now growing up, for the little boy who could have been me, 15 years ago. And so to just be representation at all that I didn't have is a feeling that quite honestly it's I don't really have anything to compare it to. It's a fulfilling and beautiful thing that I live for.
Very
Um,
surreal.
it is truly very surreal, especially because I'm quite young. It's not like I'm in my 60s looking back and finally reaching this. Like there's not much of an age gap between when I was growing up and not seeing myself and to be on television as someone I get to be for someone else. It's just like this beautiful, oh, it's poetic. um, I almost truly got detracted from the question. What was the question again?
Just what does it mean to you that it's an authentic representation for
Right,
this?
right, the authentic representation aspect of it. So of course, even just like writing a trans character is so beautiful that people are even thinking of us as humans finally. But to authentically represent it, and the writers were very in touch with the uh, like there's some trans people who over at GLAAD who help with transmedia, and they were just using him as a source to make sure that everything was written well. They were using me as a source, just very communicative to be like, can we make sure this is as accurate and human as we can make it? And so just to be part of this process, and like I already said, adding this on to such an iconic series, it's just all this like it's just all empowering, and it's just like we're going in the right direction. And especially, this is just a quick side note, especially it being a witch show. I booked this not long after I, heard J.K. Rowling's very transphobic statements about all that she had to claim during a time that it's like, why are we even talking about this? But to have someone be like, oh, here's a show that also talks about witches and magic, and like, no, you belong here. Like, there is space for trans people in magical realms. It was just the back-to-back nature of it that I was like, yes, yes. Like, in fact, we are the most magical of beings, but
Unicorns.
yes, we are unicorns. But to kind of reclaim space in a magical realm was just like very poignant for me.
Validating.
Very, very validating. Yes.
Going into being on Charmed, were you familiar with any of your co-stars?
I was actually. Jordan Donica, he also does Broadway, and he was in the national tour of Hamilton. And I happened to see that when it came through LA, and I was like so excited. Well, after we had met, did I even realize that it was him and whatnot? I was in the very last row in the back corner, so I couldn't tell anyone that I was seeing on that show. But that was so exciting. I was like, oh my God, I love that show so much. And he's just like, a brilliant, wonderful man. Sarah Jeffrey, also, I had seen her, or I had known of her from Disney things. I'm not like huge into Disney, but everyone like knows Disney. So it was just exciting, like, oh, these are my friends. Like I'm on this level of just like, these are my people. So that was super fun.
How will Kevin sort of balance? The sisters have kind of reached an impasse in balancing their lives with their fate as charmed ones. How is Kevin going to help to complicate that kind of balance that they have?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that is such a fun aspect about the show that you get to see them, deal with like fun witchy things that's like, "Ooh, how are they gonna save the world again?" But also deal with like very human things and day to day, which like, oh, as an audience member, it's like I connect with that. I get going to work and struggling and relationships, blah, blah, blah. and to kind of like resonate with half of their lives and then fall into them doing the witchy things that we don't get to do, that we're like, oh, how exciting. Um, so yeah, Kevin is part of one of the human storylines with the middle sister Mel. And so you do think that he's going to stay in, the human realm and only affect her human half. But that's the cool part, is that the human and the witch sides of them, of course, make up the whole of them. And so they very much influence each other and interact with each other. And so even though I am only interacting with her human side, I still affect much more. So the kind of like real function of Kevin is he does very much inspire Mel. So he is this trans boy who's very confident in that and very proud of that and very articulate about that. And he deals with some transphobic garbage, and she watches how he deals with that. And that inspiration of her seeing that and saying like, oh, what can I be confident in? What of me should I be proud of? What kind of friction am I rubbing up against that I could be stronger in, affects all of her. It's not just her human side, inspiration. Then that inspiration moves her in her human element and in her witchy element, which is, very cool. It's very, very cool to be an inspiring character.
I mean, you're gonna do much more than that also, I'm sure, for the viewers when they see, the authentic side of you inspiring Mel. I'm sure there will be plenty of representation and resonation with the audience as well.
I hope so. That would be great.
What can you tease were some of your favorite or standout moments you had from filming Charmed?
Oh, that is very hard. Truly being on set is my happy place. But this was and will forever be my first COVID set. So those were some memorable moments. There were 2 days when production shut down because a couple people had gotten COVID. Luckily, it was very isolated. Everyone was taken care of, like they dealt with it. Um, and just the protocols of getting tested 3 times a week, and everybody is just so, there was not there wasn't as much hanging out, of course, because everyone has to stay separate. Very memorable to be on set during a global pandemic. But more so than that, the fun moments, what I'm really going to take is really this cast. My co-stars really were just open armed. Like, I have been on many a sets, and actors are very good at being friendly and affable, kind. But this set was truly something different, where it felt like I was just walking into a family and they were just like, come on in. Like, I love making friends, and I can make friends probably with a rock, but these people were like good people who became close friends. I felt like just immediately like, oh, these are my lifelong friends, unlike, and I feel like on a normal set, maybe you'll get one of those, but to just feel like this community of like, oh, this is such a good like working environment. These are just good people that I'm just excited to hang out with, let alone make some art with. So, oh, those are my favorite moments, just hanging out with my friends.
You are a part of social media. Are you looking forward to that fan feedback you're going to be receiving to your episodes?
Oh, of course. That is my favorite part about social media, quite frankly. I feel like I naturally draw, when it comes to my fans, the vast majority are queer and trans. And so it just feels like I'm friends with my fans, even though I don't know them personally. I wish I would. I wish I could. And so getting that feedback, and especially the ones that have blatantly said how much my representation or my character or etc. meant to them, it just goes back to what I said at the beginning. Like, that's so much of why I'm an actor, is to be representation for people like me, and to actually have some, people say, you are that. Thank you for being that. I mean, it's oh, I love it. It's the best.
Was there anything else about your time on Charmed you want to touch on or make sure we share with your fans?
Ooh, you know, I just feel like if I could talk to my fans after them watching Kevin and getting to know him, it's just like I hope you guys know that you can take up space anywhere, magical realms included, because you guys are just magical beings. I wish I could just like sit down with every one of my fans and be like, did you like that? Because that could be you. And so truly the time on Charmed was just so much fun. And I hope my fans can feel that fun and just hope my fans enjoy the episodes, enjoy a good, fun story.
What are some of the other projects you've been busy working on?
Oh, actually, I just had a little web series come out this past Sunday on Valentine's Day. The premise is it's about these four friends and coworkers who create a dating app, and it is a comedy. And so through some hijinks, they all four end up using the dating app and just get into some fun situations. And it's just like really pure, really fun series that just came out for Valentine's Day. Dating app, whatever, dating. I'm also writing and working on my own project right now for a new series, and that's continuing very well, and I hope it continues to continue well. So just keeping myself busy, yes, here and there.
And the web series is called Stupid Cupid, right?
Oh yes, the web series is called Stupid Cupid. How did I forget to say that? I thought I did. Thank you.
Well, my last question is there anything that you would like to say to your fans and supporters, people that truly enjoy seeing you on their
Oh,
screen?
oh, my first thought is just thank you. Like you are what makes my like whole shtick worth it. I'm here for you. So I hope you feel that. Truly, if I could, I would be friends with every single one of my fans, because that's just whatever's drawing them to me is exactly what I would be drawn to in them. So it just thank you, and like please reach out. You do have a friend here if possible. I mean that so genuinely. Reach out and see, just thanks. I'm thinking of Golden Girls because I'm just like, thank you for being a friend. Always thinking about Golden Girls, frankly. Yeah.